to Horror Hour.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Horror Hour, the place where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. I'm one of the co-hosts here, Yutaka. Hello. And today I'm joined with George.
Hello.
And Liam.
Hi. No, really, I mean it. Hi.
And today, well, tonight actually, I'm really excited because they finally saw Scream. Yeah. So we get to talk about it. And okay, Liam. And we're going to actually do spoilers, but we're not going to put it in the thumbnail because we're better than that. So, with that being said, we're just going to kick it off and say, hey, overall thoughts. What did you like? And I'm going to go to you, George.
Okay, overall thoughts. Obviously, we've been waiting for this film for like 11 years. So to finally for it to be here is like, it feels crazy. But I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think the directing was done for the first film without Wes. I felt like it still felt like a Scream movie, although still felt like we were going somewhere new. I felt that the script was brilliant as well, really funny, but some really good heart-wrenching scenes. Like it just had everything you needed. The cinematography, some of the scenes in this, I was like, damn, is this a Scream film? Because these are beautiful. And the cast overall, I just felt like they all gelled together. Like, when you feel like a cast they got the right cast for this film. And I think they really did this with this film, with the new cast. Obviously, we already know the old cast worked great together, but these new cast members seem to have that same thing. And so I think that really helped. And I thought, again, it felt like a Scream movie, but it felt like a little bit more, which I liked. So my overall thoughts, I'm happy I saw it. I mean, I saw it 3 times today, so I was thrilled.
Like back to back to back.
Like the same screen, the same seat. It was a lot. But yeah, my overall thoughts, I really liked it. And yeah, I'm excited.
All right. And Liam, what'd you think?
Great. Like you can't really say much different from what George has already said, but like it was fresh. It was a perfect reinvention without it being a redux of what's come before. Again, brilliant cast, and it felt updated. It felt like Scream, but it felt new, and I really enjoyed it, and I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually agree with both of them as well. I really did love this film. Was it perfect? No, but was it great? Hell yeah. I had a fun fucking time. And I think that's probably the directing was good, but I think my favorite was the writing. I just thought it was very quick, very snappy, kind of like the first one was. And on top of that, as Liam stated, it feels more present. I don't feel like we kind of went back in time. It didn't come off cheap or cheesy. It made sense. And yeah, that's overall really did enjoy this. So with that, then, since George was actually technically right with this, I'm going to let George talk about what were your thoughts on the opening scene?
Yeah, I loved the opening scene. Again, it's very difficult to outdo the original opening because that opening is, of course, not only the best of the franchise, but probably the best, if not the best, one of the best opening to any film, period.
Chef's kiss.
Yeah. So, it wasn't like I was going to go in with high hopes, because I knew nothing was going to beat it. So I was just going in having fun. I'm like, I'm here. This is the first scene of the new Scream. I'm ready for it. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really interesting way to have the character of Ghostface have this conversation as if he is somebody else. In the previous ones, he's like creepy, but he's always mysterious. This guy, oh, I'm Charlie, and have this conversation. And I was quite shocked to hear Roger L. Jackson have a normal conversation. I was like, why isn't this guy swearing or saying I'm going to kill you? This is unnerving, which I thought really added to the scene. But I think Jenna Ortega, who unfortunately I'm not very familiar with much of her work, but I will be after this because she was fantastic in that scene. She really brought that sort of ingenue, but kind of, you could tell that she was still a kid as well. Like when she was on the phone, she was like, I beat you ass. Like she just had something about her that I really loved. And I like that, of course, we got the whole questions, and again, it kind of lent back to the original, but there was something new. And that leads on to the whole fact that Tara, which I did kind of was one of my thoughts on what was going to happen, I didn't think she was going to die. And she didn't, which, although when it happened, I was like, oh, they actually did do that. I was quite shocked myself, even though I'd called it. So, and I think that was really good, because I think it added a little extra to have this person who'd gone through this right at the beginning, the first person to go through it, to have this and to be with us through to the end of the film. I thought was a really good twist and a change. So no, I really liked the opening scene. I thought it was a lot of fun, and again, like we said, updated with the technology of the whole, with the locked doors and things like that. But no, I thought it was definitely a brilliant opening to this new film.
Anything to add, Liam?
Definitely great. It was a great opening scene. I did think George was stupid for thinking Tara would live.
Same.
But then he's picked it right. But even though she did live, it still set a bar for the brutality that we get of Ghostface within this film. I can't remember a scene as brutal as when he stamps on her leg and breaks it. Like, Ghostface is I can't remember a scene like that from a previous Scream film. It actually shocked me. I was like, holy fuck. Like,
I think right after that, didn't she get the knife through the hand too?
Yeah.
Yes, like straight away, and then it went straight into that, and it was so it instantly allowed my brain to be like, okay, so this is definitely something new. And that's what I appreciated with the opening scene. It set the new bar.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously wasn't as good as the first one. But it was
good enough.
Good enough. We might do a video in the future about opening scenes if we have time. So I don't want to.
I have to ask, does anybody remember what the hell she was cooking?
Something in a pot
that it was, but didn't she like pour it out? Like, I was confused by that. But anyways, well, whatever it was, she didn't eat it.
Is it pasta? She was putting
the
it
extended
in a
scene is Ghostface sitting there with a
yes. Well, I thought she might be putting it in a strainer too, but I was just like, but who knows? I just thought it was very interesting. Anyways, that was a little nitpick there. So next we'll move on to the cast. And as I have been saying, because I love this actress, because we're finally seeing a queer person play a queer role as well. And that's Jasmine Savoy Brown. She is the moment. Get into it. So if we're just going to talk about the cast, as George had stated, I do feel like everyone worked very well. Even Legacy with the new kids, I just loved it. And yeah, Jen Ortega was a standout, but fucking Jasmine Savoy Brown as Mindy was my absolute favorite. But I will let George
hop on that train with you of them being the favorite, because they were also my favorite.
And I will also sort of clamber onto the back of that train there as well and say that I'm out of.
Are you saying there's not enough room for you on this train? Is what you're saying?
Well, I'm last on. I'm just I'm that person that's running at the end of the platform, going wait. But I agree. Out of the new cast, I thought.
And we cut the train.
How rude! But no, I agree. I think out of the new cast, she's definitely the strongest, and she's the one I'm most looking forward to. If the future is bright, I'm most looking forward to seeing her character. I think she just brought just an extra bit of flair, and all the characters had their place. I do think all the new ones fitted quite well together as a group of friends, and I think you could believe they were a group of friends. They were quite diverse, yet they all still had something. It wasn't like they just went, we need to have this and this, let's stick them together. Although they were slightly different, they still felt like they could be friends, which I quite liked. So I think all of the new cast did a great job with that. But I do agree. I think my favorite is Mindy. Yes, Yutaka, you raised your hand.
I did. I raised my hand. Well, it was a finger, but you know what I mean.
Like,
I was gonna say, oh, I love him, but Vince wasn't needed.
no, not needed.
Yeah.
That was my if I were to give, you know, a point of criticism, that character was very just not needed. It was a fun kill, but he wasn't needed. And that cat, like, he's a great actor and I enjoy him, but when I was looking at all the cast, even Legacy and New Blood, I was just like, you kind of just which Liam pointed out to me earlier, he's not in the poster. Didn't even recognize that he wasn't there. So just
no, I agree. I felt
he was
like
always going to be.
Yeah, I think he was just used so they could do the whole they could mention a link to Stu. Yeah, but which was fine. But yeah, I think you could have got somebody else to do that role because he's a great actor. I would have liked to seen him in another role in the film, but hey,
yeah,
Liv could have easily been related.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But anyway, I agree. Yeah, it wasn't needed, and Kyle was underutilized. But
were there any other cast members that you weren't feeling, or everybody else was great?
For me, I liked everybody. I wasn't 100%. I kind of said this before we came on. I wasn't 100% sold on Melissa. I don't know what it was on the character of Sam. Sorry, maybe it was because I was sort of comparing her to Sydney, and obviously I can't because she's a different character. She's completely different. She's got everything's completely different. She's got a different backstory and everything. So I shouldn't do that. But yeah, I kind of enjoyed, I think because I enjoyed Mindy so much, and I think that Tara, Jenna Ortega, did a great job, that kind of Melissa, Sam's character, kind of went into the background. But again, this is only the first.
I could see that.
This is only the first film. So again, you know, this is the start of these characters, which we have to remember. But I do think everybody did a fantastic job in the new cast.
Liam,
didn't dislike Chad. I found Chad a bit bland. Up until, well, to be fair, I still found him bland. But
Yeah.
like up until obviously when he made his joke, that wasn't really a joke about he didn't want to sleep with Liv. Because she could be the killer and he's not 100%. Like, that was amusing, that was witty, and it was funny. And I didn't get that out of Chad prior throughout the film. I got that a lot from his twin, which we've already mentioned. So I think, spoiler alert, like obviously this is a spoiler review, so he's one of the people that lives.
Surprisingly.
So very surprisingly. So if they do continue with him, I want that aspect of him extended, and I want that to be the character going forward for me.
More personality
for my enjoyment. I want more personality from him. That small bit of personality wasn't enough, and it should have been extended throughout.
Oh, I get that, because that scene was hilarious. Mm-hmm. It was like when his voice got real high too. He's like, it's like, oh, not the moment to be doing that.
But we know that actor can do better, because obviously we've seen him in Love, Victor.
This is very true. I would totally agree. Yeah. I was actually trying to get George to talk about maybe Martha's hair.
Oh yeah, this is something I brought up to the guys before. It was great to see. I wasn't sure we were going to mention legacy characters, but we can mention her now. She had a little cameo, Miss Martha Meeks, which I thought was really nice to kind of again bring back that sort of nod to the old films. And I was so happy to see her until I saw her hairline, which was like down here. Apparently, that is the actress. I thought it was a wig. Liam thinks it was her real hair. So I apologize to the actress, but maybe we could see somebody. And it just took me out a bit. I was like, obviously I saw it 3 times today. I was kind of like, every time I saw it, I was like, she looks like she's got like a dead cat on her head. Like I'm sorry. It just, Martha, I preferred your hair in 3. It was kind of like the cool with the, anyway. But it was great to see her. I love to see her. And the fact that we could maybe even see more of her because the twins have survived. So I would love for her to come back. That would be a great way for her to come
I
back.
love that actress. So
I
would
never
love her
even
to come
thought
back.
of that. I would be down for that.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Okay. Next, let's talk about the kills. Now, there weren't as many as in previous installments. However, Liam was correct in well, I'm going to say Liam was correct. The brutality in some of these kills was next level.
Mm-hmm.
I also was correct on who would actually die.
This is true. I mean, I think you should talk about who that is. Or not.
Wes.
It was taking a minute.
It was Wes. And it was obviously Sheriff Hicks. And then it was Liv, which we'll save the big one obviously for later. Like that whole scene for Sheriff Hicks and Wes was top notch. It was great. I like a bit of suspense, so I fucking loved the whole house scene with Wes because it just every single time he opened a door, I was like, they could be there, they're not going to be there, but they could be there. And then they never were there. And it was great, but it was just great because like the score each time changed. Yeah. And it started like the first door, it was like it was suspenseful but muted. Second door, it was suspenseful and it raised a little bit. Then the third door, it got really suspenseful, and then it just went silent for the fourth door. And then and then it like stops, and you're like, wait, that's what they haven't made it in the house. How have they not? They haven't made it. Oh fuck, shit! The front door's open. He's in the house, and it's like it was great. I was on the edge of my seat, and I felt sorry for poor little Judy. I didn't like Judy in 4. I loved her here. I didn't love her here. I loved her scene, and the actress Molly Shelton made me appreciate her in that scene because you felt the emotion of like, oh shit, my son, and it felt like it was her son.
Yeah.
So
I would like to piggyback off that and say I agree. Like for two actors and two characters who this was their only scene basically together, like having a conversation, I really bought into the fact that they were mother and son, and I love that. I thought it just, there was something about it that, again, in the writing, in the acting, it wasn't overdone. It just felt right. And again, that's the whole, like you were saying, Yutaka, even that if we call her a legacy character or a character from a previous film and the new characters gelling together, that was a great example of that. And I felt really bad when she died. Again, I agree. I wasn't really over thrilled with, I thought she was comic value in Scream 4, but in this one, even though she wasn't in it for a long time, I still, again, felt like, oh, damn, I kind of felt, like, that's a shame that she's dead. But, I mean, oh, well, all right.
It's a shame that she never knew if she saved her son or not.
I know she never knew if her son was alive, but now they're both
that part
together.
I was a little gutted, but
yeah,
someone's got to die.
Yeah, and the fact that they did it.
Why did it have to be Wes?
I know, but that was a great. Those two. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the film. Was that whole long scene? Oh, you didn't like it?
Yeah. Go on, Yutaka. Tell the people.
That was my other complaint. I thought the West scene went on far too long. I really did. Like, I was definitely rolling my eyes, even though I still enjoyed it. And maybe it's funny because I keep thinking of what Ven said, and he didn't find it as suspenseful. And I would probably have to agree that scene was not as suspenseful to me. Because I just felt like they were going to be toying. I mean, there still was the payoff, but that probably was like, oh, I don't know. That's just me. I still enjoyed it. I just didn't think it was. It went on a bit too long for me.
Mm-hmm.
But do you not think that was the point?
Oh no, yeah, and again,
it was a meta commentary, which this whole film, whole franchise is built on. It was a meta commentary on how horror films have relied on this jump scare,
which you mentioned in the opening.
Yeah, which then it doesn't
come to fruition,
give you the jump scare. And I appreciate it. I liked it.
But Yutaka,
it's a nice
okay.
house, though.
Oh, lovely. I mean, they've all got lovely houses.
Well,
they do.
But hey,
at least from Dewey.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He used to have a nice house.
Let's talk also. I do want to comment on Dewey's death. Kill was so brutal. Just the knife in the gut, the knife in the back, and
the way the blood, like when it got to a certain point, was like it was like holding in, then it just went. And we didn't even need you didn't need to see insides coming out, because just the amount of blood was like, oh, and the noises, like
the splatter. I did love that.
It was sad to see him go, but I think it was a death that, people, it's not like, he just got like stabbed in the back and died. Do you know what I mean? Like it felt like a good death for a legacy character.
He went out really well. I was happy to see it. I was still thinking it was going to be Gale. I was wrong, because I think a lot of us were still like, surely
my cinema to the ground.
I know you would have, but I know we were like, surely they're not showing us all this, but they did. But I still loved it. I thought Dewey, that was just a cool moment though, when like he empties out the bullets of the revolver to put in a new one. I'm like, that's Studley. I was like, okay, I get why Gale chose you.
Yeah, he seemed like a lot more serious and cool than he has done in the past. He's always had those elements, but this one he felt like, a bit more, it felt a bit
grizzled.
More serious. Yeah, exactly, which I liked.
I think.
So, no.
Liam's like, you're disgusting.
When has he ever been Studley?
Never. That's why I was like, this was kind of like his moment.
But no, because George just said it was.
Oh,
he's had moments. He's never had his fucking moments.
I think George
always ends up like a shish kebab and out.
George liked probably his twink era. I don't know.
No, I just mean it was nice. There has been elements where he's had serious conversations, like in Scream 4, he had that lovely conversation with Sydney, and what I mean is he's had those elements, but of course normally he's been quite a comical, part of it. Whereas this, I found that although he had comical elements to him, it was more on the serious side. And I think that worked because his character had been through a lot. And I think it worked for the character that he can't always be, goofy and funny, is that he'd been through a lot in the past 10 years. And that had shown, and I liked that. So yeah, I agree. But it's sad to see him go.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that they took him out on a serious note.
Yeah.
Agreed. It was badass. Yeah.
And that shot, when it zoomed out and he was on the floor and Ghostface was standing there in the abandoned corridor, that's going to be a wallpaper of mine as soon as this hits VOD, video on demand. I'll be like, screenshots.
He will.
But no, that was great. It was the big, like the last big kill of the, because we did have a couple more attacks, with heading forward here to the party with the twins, Chad, who maybe shouldn't have survived that, because he was stabbed several times. And I know Tara was, but the police were literally at the door when that happened and she went to hospital. This gentleman was on the floor for a good 40 minutes before anyone arrived. But I'm not complaining. I did like his attack scene. I thought it was a good, it was fun to have the sort of find my phone aspect and kind of added that element of suspense to it. And when he threw the phone away because he couldn't get it off because the blood was in his hand.
That made me laugh, actually.
He's just like, oh. Which
I
enjoyed. And again, like you said, it kind of added that more personality to him, which I like to see. And I'm glad that he's still alive and I'm excited to see what he does. But that was a brutal stabbing when Ghostface was like,
I
meanwhile, he's still already like
inside
bleeding
that isn't milkshake.
from the leg too, like that,
Yeah.
like that stab to the leg. He was like gushing blood, but who knows? I mean, you know, we're talking about the kills, but can
the
we
magic of the movies, people?
I mean, this film, though, while the kills were quite brutal, not as frequent. It's very interesting. Lots of attacks.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting. But speaking of, as we just spoke about Dewey, I know George wants to talk about his queen. So I'll let George talk about what he thought of the legacy characters.
I mean, I loved to see them, and I guess we always knew coming into that this obviously was a film to kind of be a gateway in between the old franchise and the new one. And I did think, look, I did know that Sydney wasn't the star of this, as it were. You know, I knew she was going to be taking more of a backseat. But I mean, I think the parts that the legacy characters were in, I think it suited them well, and I think it was fitting. I mean, if I'd had my way, obviously, I'm a bit of a Sydney super fan, so I would have liked her to in every scene. But I do think the scenes that she was in, as well as Gail, as well as Dewey, seemed right for the characters. And it was funny, actually, before we started filming, I had a chat with Liam about how, you know, we said, oh, there was no scene between the three of them. But Liam picked up on something, though, that, well, go on, Liam, you say, because I didn't even think about it until after you'd said it.
That's never really been a thing with Scream.
Not really.
What? It's always usually Gail and Dewey off doing something, and Sydney doing something else.
This is true. Okay. Yeah.
Like, I think
you do get the odd small interaction, but it is only ever like a very, very small interaction, and then it goes back to them.
Yeah. Like Scream 3, when she comes to save them, and then she goes off, and then those two together, or it's Gail and Sydney, sorry, at the end of Scream 2.
Sydney, yeah.
Dewey's already taken out. So yeah, I was like, oh, they weren't together, and then Liam said that, and I was like, oh my god, yeah, they never really are. And the same in Scream 4. They're never in a scene together, all three. Oh, well, apart again, that one scene, sorry, when they're in the bookshop. That's the only scene they're all.
Well, that one scene in the bookshop where they're talking, but again, that's what I'm saying. It's only ever like very small little bits, and then again they're separated. Like again, like the end of Scream 4, they are together in that room when Dewey figures it out.
That's true. That is true.
But yeah,
but it's Dewey runs in, Dewey's knocked out. Gail runs in, and Gail and Judy have to hide behind the bed. Like, it's never.
All right, that's true. Okay.
So I just wanted to mention that while it was on. So, but for me, I loved that I liked how they used legacy characters. Obviously, I wanted more Sydney, but I'm happy with how much I got and what her character. I didn't feel like she was when she was in it. I didn't feel like they just had her in it for the sake of it. I feel like she was a good part. So for me, yeah, I loved the legacy characters. Obviously, it's great to see them.
Liam?
Yeah. I like, George hates me, it's fine. I don't really like Neve Campbell. She was better in this one than she's been in previous. She was better, I will give it, she was better in this one than previous.
This is like
I just don't get Sidney Prescott as a character. I don't like it. I always find it to be there always seems to be an air of martyrdom about her. I gravitate to Gail. So I was happy to see Gail. I know you don't agree with us, but I always think Gail's underutilized. Yes, Gail had a good scene where she got to shoot for Dewey, and then got to obviously do the good boot in the stomach with the stiletto. And that is good. But it's still not as much as what Sydney does. And I get it. It's for you, it's Sydney's franchise. But for me, it's all about Gail. So yeah, I appreciate, I enjoyed what they did.
Okay.
And I was also happy that Dewey was the one. Well, I would have been happy with Sydney or Dewey dying. But I was glad it wasn't Gail.
Okay, I'm not going to have this conversation because otherwise we'll be on here for 2 hours. But I'm going to have to say I disagree.
Yeah. I think they were all used very well in
Personal
terms of just
preference.
integrating into the actual story.
I will
think it
say
was
the way they
right one
got
of them needed
Sydney
to
in
die.
was good.
Yes. I mean, I will say also, you know, another legacy character is alive, Kirby. We didn't see her really, but we saw that she did an interview. We just didn't get to see the interview, which who knows? Maybe we'll see something in the future. But with that being said, let's talk about the Ghostface reveal, who that was staring us, you know, right in front of our face.
I would like to say, although I think it was sort of kind of obvious, I always thought that with the original Scream as well, and it didn't still affect. I mean, there was no way watching that original Scream you didn't think the killer at least was Billy Loomis. No matter how much they tried to go like deviate to all these different people, it was obviously this gentleman.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, Jack Quaid just did such a great job though, in terms of he just seemed like the new Dewey. Like I just didn't see it.
Agreed. I said, you know, before that I think he did such a good job as that comic relief that I was kind of sad when he was the killer, because I was like, oh, but I want to see more of that side of him. Like, I mean, good for him. I think he did a good job. I did personally prefer Amber as a killer, but I think because she was a little bit more, she was more of the unhinged mind, sort of, you know, craziest one. So I kind of that she had a bit more to do, whereas he was more of the cool, collected sort of the thinker. But yeah, I kind of missed. I was kind of sad that he was the, and it was he actually said it. He was like when he stabs Sam and he's like, I know it's a bummer, it's me, and I was like, yes, it is, because I wanted more comedy. But hey ho. But I would like to quickly shout out Amber's scene when we find out it's her, and poor Liv. Everyone's ganging up on Liv, saying, "Oh my God, she's the killer. She's the killer." She's like, "I'm not the killer," and Amber's like, "Liv, calm down. I know." Bang, and then Liv straight to the floor.
That was
Such
a great
good reveal.
Yes. I loved it.
I will say, I went into this. I said it was Jack. And I said it was between Liv and Amber because of the trailers. But I did say obviously in prediction that I think it is more likely going to be Amber due to obviously who they've cast. And I think Liv would be. I've said this like not in the prediction but off screen to George. I was like, I knew it was between the two of them because you couldn't really tell from the trailer. I was like, but one of them is being shown as a red herring here.
Yeah.
And so, and then straight away in the movie, as soon as pretty much as soon as the movie starts, you know it's Amber. And then
that is kind of a dead giveaway now.
Yeah, and also there was little stuff that you pick up on. I'd sort of seen it a couple of times, but I thought for both of them there was two parts that kind of like, oh yeah, now you look back at it after see it, and you'll obviously when you see it again, Liam, when you see it again. So when we see all the characters for the first time, and they say that Sam's coming back, she says, oh, things are about to get worse, and they do, because she's making them get worse. And then when I keep referring to him, Jack, when Richie says, you know, everyone out the house.
Shit, yeah, I call him that as well.
I know, when Richie says everyone get out of the house, which I love that scene, that was so funny when he was like, hi Gen Z, get out. I love that. And then did you notice as well, sorry, there was one of the people in the background when Mindy was making out with Frankie, the girl, when
Francis
somebody's parents is kicking us out.
Yeah, she said someone's like parents are kicking us out, which I loved. But sorry, to go back, he says in that scene, you know, everybody out, you're gonna thank me later, I'm saving your lives. And he was, because he was also the killer. But yeah, I think they were sort of obvious, but for me, the biggest ever shock from, well, Roman, but that was because no one ever saw that coming because it wasn't supposed to be him. But the Scream 4 with Jill was like the most shocking one for me out of all of them. The others, I think you can all, the fun is obviously kind of having a guess, but I think we all go in kind of knowing it's going to be a select group of people, one or two of these people. So I wasn't mad that I knew who it was. It didn't bother me because they still had some great scenes and I think they did it really well.
Oh, I just realized one of my theories came true though, or one of the things I wanted to see came true. Do you remember? I said either I wanted the queer character to be a killer or I wanted them to survive.
Yeah, and they did.
And they were the best character. Just saying.
What about you, Yutaka? You didn't mention what you thought about the Ghostface reveal.
I mean, I loved it. I think more because I loved the motive. I thought the motive, and this goes again, the writing was just solid. Witty and snappy. It had that, that bite or that snark. But when Richie is just going off about toxic fandom and they're ruining my movie kind of thing, I was just loving it. And I liked when he was going like becoming unhinged. Whereas when Amber did, I was like, yeah, I believe you. This one, I was not expecting him to go like batshit insane, because he went like from 0 to psycho in like 0.2. It was just, I loved it.
But that's a real psychopath.
Yeah. And speaking of psychopaths, we did forget one reveal as well, which George knew of. I didn't, because I didn't see this on Twitter, so I'll let George.
Yeah, so of course, and it was great because I was wearing the t-shirt. The big reveal is that Sam Carpenter is in fact the daughter of Billy Loomis, which I knew that he was coming back because I remember when it was first announced, or when they'd wrapped and Marley Sheldon accidentally tagged him, and everyone was like, why would she tag him? So I kind of knew something was happening, but I didn't know it was going to be that. And I did actually mention in my predictions, I just didn't think they would go that route, but I did think that the girls would be related to Billy. I think I said they would be his nieces, but the fact that that was his daughter, I think I liked it. I didn't think that it was, it didn't seem too stupid or like out there. Do you know what I mean? I was kind of like, do you know what? I can believe that he was messing about in high school and got some girl pregnant. And hey, Skeet did a great job in the few scenes he was in. Some of the CGI was a little rocky at times, but I didn't hate it, and I thought it was kind of an extra element. But I know by Liam's face and from things he said in the past, he doesn't particularly like this sort of thing. So, Liam, what was your thoughts on Billy Loomis?
Sorry, so I didn't hate the fact that it was Billy Loomis's daughter. Mm-hmm. What I didn't like is the mental apparition of Billy Loomis. Mm-hmm. I think that kind of thing is stupid. I find it as the same vein as ghosts. Just stupid. I don't get it. It doesn't resonate with me, and I just don't enjoy it. And it took me. This is my one problem, and this is one of the things that keeps it from being perfect for me. Is I just don't get that, and it previously when we spoke prior, obviously it is something that I've mentioned, and I said it annoys me at the fact that the apparition, which is something, it's not a real thing, it's that person's head, is telling them to look behind a curtain. Like, it's stupid, it doesn't make sense. And obviously Yutaka said before, like, it was like, well, she might have seen it, but they didn't show us that, so it doesn't count.
Okay. Well, I mean,
for me,
that's fair.
Count.
Yeah, no, it is fair.
If she falls over, if they showed her going to the ground and seeing the curtain, then I would have been fine with it. But the fact that when the shot of her falling, she isn't even falling that way, she has to physically turn her head from being on that side of the floor to like that.
Yeah, but she's crawling too.
He's in the mirror. Well, he's in the mirror, like,
it's a little thing.
There.
I guess
it's a little thing, but it takes me out of it.
That's fair. No, that's valid.
That's fair. Right. But if she hadn't seen that, we wouldn't have got one of the coolest scenes that I thought that in the whole film was when she turns around and says, "Don't fuck this daughter of a serial killer," and goes right through Richie's mouth. And then she jumps the hell on that guy, and she goes to town on his guts. And I love that. As I said earlier, I wasn't really sold on this character, but or maybe it was, the Melissa. But when she did that, I was like, these are the roles she needs to do, because she was born to be crazy. I mean, the body, the eyes, the way I just thought she was fantastic. And I think, it was such a cool part to do.
Yeah, no, I mean, speaking of, I think the ending worked so well. It was the third, I mean, I loved the meta commentary, but I loved that the third act went just balls to the wall. I really loved all of that, because all of the people who ended up living, well, aside from Chad, got a moment to shine. And I do think, Gail got to kill the bitch that killed Dewey. So I feel like that's good for her. And she got to kick her in the stomach, and they highlighted the stiletto. So somebody is, good for them.
Yeah, no, it was good. And
they
I think
knew what the gays wanted.
Yep, they did.
There was a homosexual intern on the set that day.
Yes.
Like, get a shot of that heel. The homos will love it. Make sure it's a light color so it stands out.
that nude pump. Honestly, no, it was. Yeah, that was. I mean, as we said before, I think that even though they're only in a small amount of scenes, I think that, and obviously towards the end it was just Sydney and Gail. I think they both got a moment. And obviously before we wrap, I want to shout out the whole when they both just worked together and dragged Amber across the top of the counter and smashed the glass and then set her on fire. Like, to see them work together was amazing.
Didn't drag her; they tossed her. Ass.
They lifted her and they were like, it was great to see, and thankfully they both lived. So I'm happy about that. But the ending, I mean, for me, it leaves it open to more films. And I think, I don't know how you guys felt. I felt like for Sydney and Gail, that felt like a goodbye in a sense. Sydney was talking about, she was like, I hope you'll be okay. And she says, I've got my family, I'll always survive. That's what I do. And then Gail was, kind of, she was out of doing the stuff that she normally did, and she wants to write that book about Do. And I think that was kind of nice as well. So I don't know how you guys felt about that, but I felt like that could be their last scene.
Yeah, I mean, because remember, I don't know if anybody caught her baby daddy's name.
Mark. Is it him?
George hasn't clicked on.
No, I have.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
Detective Kincaid.
Yeah, Detective Kincaid. Yeah, I was hoping it was going to be. When she said Mark, I was like, yes. I really wish that he would have made a little cameo. That would have been nice. If he'd rocked up with the babies and the pram, like. But anyway, sorry.
But I think that was a proper. If this is their final one, I think it's a great exit. I think we've got a good group of new characters. Let's just focus on Mindy and Chad. But yes, I think this was a really great way, because I think the whole film paid such great homage to Wes Craven, but I also felt like it was still radio silence. It worked so well, and I think it propels, I think, the Scream franchise into a new era. With that, before I ask what your rankings are, how does this film just stack up as a whole? Even if it weren't within the Scream franchise, because obviously we love Scream, but I'm just, as a film by itself, how does it hold up?
I like it as a film by itself. I think it's got, like we said, the directing's great. There's some great cinematography, great score, great cast. And I think, and great kills. So I think as you say, you could step onto this having not seen any of the films and still enjoy it for what it is as a standalone film. And I think that's possible. Yeah. I think that maybe makes it even better.
What would you give it on a scale of 1 to 10?
8.5.
Okay.
I would say. I think there are some elements that it was missing or that could have been done a little bit better, but I absolutely didn't hate it, and I would definitely watch it. It's, as we said, it's not a perfect film, and it's never going to beat the original. But as a successor, I think it's one of the strongest that there have been.
It's got high rewatch factor.
Exactly.
Well, if you can watch it 3 times in a day and still be like, that says a lot about a film. But Liam, what would you give it on a scale?
I would probably agree, like an 8.5.
What about
I
you?
gave it a little bit higher. I was around a 9, but like again, I think 8 to 9 is a great
8.5 to 9 would be where I would sit.
All right.
8.5 though, slight issues with, but it's personal preference rather than actual issues, if that makes sense.
Okay.
So it's not something that I would selfishly be like, you need to improve this. I just don't get that. So I have to mark it off for personal, the way I personally look at it. But I wouldn't say to anyone, don't see this or don't like thingy.
Yeah. All right.
Because it's a great film and people need to see it.
So with that, we'll end on this. Where do you put it within the Scream franchise? And I'll just kind of recap that. To me, it's my second favorite. 1, then this, then 2, then 4, then 3. That's mine. I think Liam, you're on the same.
I'm on the same page. So I'm in, like, obviously 96, 2022, 3, 2, and 4.
That's a one.
Nope, we're not on the same.
No,
but at the beginning, we're on the same page near the beginning. I prefer the camp.
That's fair.
So
George?
That's why 3 is higher for me.
Yeah, mine is obviously the first one, and then my second is a little rotating between this one and 2. I like 2 more because it's got Sydney in. I'm sorry, but that's like my, again, personal preference. This film's still fantastic, but I think 2 was such a great sequel to that original. And there's some great things in that. So this one, it's going to be probably the time of the day, the time, like that, which one is my number 2. But those 2, that's definitely, and then it would be 4, and then unfortunately 3.
And I will say, because I think, well, we love Scream in general, but I will always say Scream at its worst is still at its best.
Yes.
When I look at other franchises.
Yeah.
It really, it's a solid franchise. And I think it's done such a great job, 25, 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah.
So, yeah. So, but I just want to say, thanks everyone for watching, listening, staying with us, ignoring Liam's controversial comments about Sidney Prescott.
Leave hate in the comments. I don't care.
Yeah. So please comment down below. I would love to see that. Make sure you like, subscribe. Please don't dislike because of Liam. We could easily replace them.
We can change that. We can change it out. It's not an issue. I'll be already thinking about that right now.
Green screen them out. I mean, we're just now discovering how amazing that is. So, and we've got some really awesome merch. And we've got a lot more fun videos, interviews, reviews, deep dives, drag, all that fun shit that we like to do. So hit that notification bell so you're notified of every time something else happens. And if you can't watch us, again, we have this in podcast form.
Get those headphones on. It's magic.
So, all right. Till next time. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.